Okay, let's unpack this. You know that feeling where you're facing a big decision and, well, part of you just knows what needs doing,
Hmm.
but it feels just awful. Like your chest tightens up even thinking about it.
Yeah, that visceral, gut-wrenching feeling, it's powerful.
Totally. I was reading about someone else going through this really tough situation,
Hmm.
and honestly, I felt that dread myself. Maybe you have too, that
Oh,
feeling.
absolutely. That feeling of being stuck, completely stuck, even when the path seems logically clear.
Right, that internal tug of war. It's where our emotions often just, well, take over, especially when we start thinking about how our choices hit other people.
Precisely. And that's really what we're diving into today. We got this question from a listener through the Mel Robbins podcast, and it just perfectly captures this whole thing.
Yeah, it really does. So this person is engaged, the wedding is like weeks away,
Super close.
and they're feeling this overwhelming dread. They realize they're fighting constantly with their fiance and have this deep suspicion they're making a huge mistake.
Wow. Okay.
But then comes the avalanche of buts.
Mm.
You know, invitations are out, parents have put down
Tell me all the
deposits,
logistics. Yeah.
and the fear of disappointing everyone,
Yeah.
hurting their fiance, it's just paralyzing them.
And that dilemma, while it's specific to them, it really opens up this broader understanding of why the right decisions can feel so incredibly wrong sometimes.
Hmm.
So our goal really in this deep dive is to give you a framework, a way to understand that hesitation, and maybe how to move forward even when your gut is just screaming, no.
Okay, so let's really get into the listener's question itself. I mean, just try and imagine being in their shoes for a second.
Yeah,
This deep unease, wedding right around the corner, but facing this huge wall of practical stuff and emotional stuff.
it's intense.
They wrote, Mel, I'm engaged and soon to be married. The wedding is a few weeks away, and I know this should be one of the happiest moments of my life. But it's not. The closer we get to the wedding, the more my fiance and I are fighting. I can't stop shaking this feeling of dread. Deep down, I am afraid I am making a huge mistake.
That's heavy.
I don't know what to do. The invitations are out. My parents and hers have already put down the deposits for everything. I don't want to disappoint my family. I don't want my parents to lose their money. I don't want to break my fiance's heart. I don't want her parents and everyone else we know to be mad at me. How do I call this off?
Wow, you can just feel the weight in that, can't you? The internal conflict.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And the first logical response, the one that probably jumps out and it's echoed in the source material,
Yeah.
is that if you feel that much dread persistently,
Yeah.
well, you need to call it off. It's the necessary thing.
So intellectually, yes. That makes total sense. But the reality of being human, right? The logic almost never works in isolation,
No.
especially when it's tangled up with these deep emotions and how we think about others.
Right. Because that simple answer just slams headfirst into this brick wall of feelings. The source really nails this.
Mm-hmm.
Our experience is so driven by how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
What our brain says is logical, just gets completely swamped by thinking about the emotional fallout.
And isn't it fascinating why we do that? Why we so often put the potential pain of others ahead of our own truth in these moments?
Yeah.
The source talks about this tendency we have to choose the discomfort we know, the pain we inflict on ourselves.
Rather than cause pain to someone else.
Exactly. Think about it. How often do people stay in jobs they hate or relationships that are wrong for them?
Mm-hmm.
Just because the thought of the other person's reaction, their sadness or anger, feels like too much to handle.
It's incredibly common, isn't it?
Mm.
And you can just picture this groom, his internal struggle. He probably knows deep down what he needs to do.
Sure.
But thinking about his fiance, his parents, her parents, the emotional consequences just feel completely overwhelming.
But interestingly, the source points out that this agonizing, this deep concern he has for others, it actually says something good about him.
Right. It shows he's not callous. He's not trying to cause pain.
Exactly. Which brings us to a really core truth that the source highlights. Other people's emotions are, well, inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Part of life.
There are going to be countless times in your life, in everyone's life, where your decisions will make others feel upset or disappointed or even heartbroken. That's just a fact we have to accept.
Okay.
And the crucial takeaway here, the thing that can genuinely shift how you approach these things, is this. You cannot let your fear of how others will feel dictate your decisions.
Why not?
Because that fear, it will very often stop you cold from making the choices that are actually right for you.
That's powerful. Because you can instantly picture it, can't you? Those awful conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Imagining the fiancé crying, the parents being angry, or just grieving the lost wedding. The source even says, just reading this probably stirs up feelings in you, the listener.
It definitely does. You feel that tension just imagining it.
Mhm.
And the source emphasizes, look, adults are allowed to feel angry or sad or disappointed. That's normal.
Right.
We often try to short-circuit that, manage their feelings preemptively by just avoiding the truth, by staying stuck.
Yeah, the source gives those examples we talked about, staying in the wrong relationship, the wrong job, not having that hard talk with family.
All because we're trying to avoid those negative emotional reactions.
And that avoidance, it feels easier in the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just kick the can down the road.
It always feels easier short-term, but the source is really clear. That short-term ease, it leads to much, much greater long-term pain. Delaying doesn't make it better.
No, it usually makes it worse.
Yeah.
Harder.
Precisely.
Right.
And this naturally leads us to, well, the idea of courage, the courage to just be honest.
Okay.
And the source offers a really important, maybe counterintuitive perspective here. Telling someone you don't want to be with them, for instance,
Yeah.
is actually the most courageous, honorable, and ultimately the kindest thing you can do.
That feels so backwards. In the moment, it feels like the absolute least kind thing. Cruel, even.
I know, right? But think about why we hesitate. The source points out often it's not really about protecting the other person's feelings deep down.
What is it then?
It's about our discomfort, our fear of dealing with their potential reaction, the guilt trips, the anger, the tears, the venting. The real fight, the source says, is happening inside us.
Okay. That makes sense. It's our own emotional avoidance.
Exactly. Connecting it back again, why people stay in dead marriages or soul-crushing careers. So often, it's this fundamental fear of causing that emotional pain in others.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the vital distinction the source makes. It is not your job, your responsibility to shield everyone else from feeling their own emotions.
Say that again. That feels important.
It's not your responsibility to protect everyone else from feeling emotions. Your primary responsibility. It's to live in a way that aligns with your own values, your own truth.
Yeah.
Even if, and sometimes this is the hard part, those right decisions will inevitably lead to others feeling hurt or disappointed. That's part of the deal.
And I think it's so important, like the source mentions, referencing Dr. Damore, that negative emotions aren't bad. They're actually a mentally healthy, normal response when life throws us curveballs or things don't work out.
Exactly. People are allowed to be upset when plans change or a relationship ends. They're allowed to be sad or angry. It doesn't mean you did something wrong by being honest.
It just means they're having a human reaction to a difficult situation.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do this? How do we navigate these incredibly difficult situations? Find the strength to make the right call when it feels so wrong because of that anticipated fallout.
Yeah, what's the practical approach?
Well, the source introduces a really helpful framework. It's called the let them theory.
Okay, let them theory. Let's get into this. The source uses this image, right? Emotions like waves.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes they're just ripples, but then you get these huge, like, hurricane-level emotional events. Calling off a wedding is definitely one of those.
For sure.
And you feel like you're just going to drown in the fallout, the sadness, the anger, the disappointment. But the core idea of this theory is you won't drown. You can ride the wave.
Okay. Yeah.
It starts by acknowledging the immediate pain and the negative reactions that are likely, or at least possible. The fiancé's sadness, yes. The parents' anger or disappointment, maybe. Financial stuff, potentially.
Right. Not pretending it won't be messy.
Not at all. But the key to the let them theory is giving everyone involved, and this includes you, the space to actually experience those emotions.
Without trying to fix it.
Without trying to control them or avoid them or change them, just letting them be.
In this theory, it has two parts, right? Let them and let me.
That's it. Two core components. Let them and let me.
Okay, break down let them for us first. What does that mean practically?
Let them is about recognizing, really internalizing, that other people's emotions are fundamentally their responsibility, not yours.
Okay.
It's about giving them the space, the permission to feel whatever they're going to feel, anger, sadness, confusion, whatever, without you needing to jump in and manage it for them.
So stop trying to make them feel better.
Or stop trying to prevent them from feeling bad in the first place. The source makes a point, it's a bit blunt maybe, but useful,
Yeah.
that emotionally, many adults often react like an 8-year-old having a tantrum when they don't get their way. And you can't control that. You can't fix their emotional maturity level in that moment.
Right. You just have to let them have their reaction.
Exactly. So let them is really about empowering yourself. It allows you to stop making their potential emotional needs or reactions the absolute top priority, especially over your own well-being and truth. Their reactions are theirs to process.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like setting an internal boundary around their feelings. So what about the let me part?
Let me is the flip side. It's about granting yourself the permission, finding the courage to make the decisions that are genuinely right for you,
Even when it's hard.
especially when it's hard. Even when you anticipate negative reactions, it's about being honest first with yourself about what you need and what's true for you,
Hmm.
and then having the courage to act on that truth, even if it feels incredibly difficult, scary even. It's about doing the hard thing now to avoid much deeper pain and regret later on.
So it's giving yourself the chance.
Yes, giving yourself the chance to live a life that actually aligns with who you are, what you value, what you truly want, not the life dictated by fear of upsetting others.
Okay, so boiling down this let them theory,
Hmm.
it's basically recognizing when you're letting other people's potential reactions, maybe even their emotional immaturity, control your choices.
Precisely. It's understanding their feelings are valid, sure, but they aren't your single burden to carry or manage.
So saying let them kind of creates that necessary emotional space, that distance.
It does. It allows their emotions to exist without you needing to fix them or feel responsible for them. And then let me.
Let me gives you the permission and the strength to actually do the right, albeit difficult thing for yourself.
Exactly. It gives you the fortitude to act according to your own truth, your own values. As the source puts it, ultimately it's about stepping up, growing up, and acting like a mature adult who makes choices based on their own internal compass.
And allowing others the space to navigate their own emotional reactions, even if they're stormy.
Even if they're stormy, yes.
So the really big insight here, the core takeaway, is that the right decision often feels wrong, primarily because we get so tangled up in anticipating and trying to manage everyone else's feelings.
Yeah. We become hyper-focused on avoiding their potential discomfort, their disappointment, their anger.
That we completely lose sight of what's actually true and right for us. We sacrifice our own well-being on the altar of their predicted feelings.
And this let them theory, it offers a really practical, actionable way to shift that focus back
How so?
by helping you identify those situations where you might be over-indexing on others' comfort, putting their potential feelings way ahead of your own truth, and then consciously choosing to, well, step back.
Let them feel what they feel.
Allow them their feelings, exactly, and then move forward with the decision, deep down is the right one for you. Think of it as permission. Permission you grant yourself to prioritize your own authentic path.
It really reframes what a good decision even means, doesn't it? It's
Well-
not just about what feels easy right now or what causes the least immediate drama.
No, it's much more about the long-term picture, the long-term benefits of living honestly, living authentically.
Even if that authenticity causes some short-term waves or discomfort for others, and for yourself too, let's be honest.
Absolutely. It's rarely painless, but it's about choosing the right kind of difficulty. And this, I think, raises a really important question for you, the listener, to maybe reflect on.
Okay, what's that?
Think about a situation in your own life right now. Is there a decision you're hesitating on, maybe putting off, because you're really worried about how other people will react, how they'll feel?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure many of us have one.
Probably. So the reflection is, what would it actually look like, feel like, to apply the principles of this let them theory in that specific situation? Let them feel whatever they might feel, and let me do what I know is right for me.
That's a powerful exercise.
Mm.
Just considering it.
It really can be. It might be worth spending some time with that thought, maybe even revisiting some of these ideas from the source. It could unlock something.